So now you are in for a special treat. Miriam joined the board of HITEC this year, and I've heard so many great things and have seen her in action already. And she will be in conversation with Verizon's CIO Vivek Gurumurthy. So with that, I welcome you both to the stage.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Has food kicked in now in that little short period of time? By the way, it's not, I just became chair of the board, but I've been on the board, it seems like 8 years. I think it's 8 years. So just in case anyone wondered if I was a different Miriam than the one you saw last year, no. Same one. My hair's a little longer, that's about it. So it's a really big pleasure for me to have Vivek here.
Thank you.
We've worked together a long time.
Very long time, a few decades, I guess.
And we met when I was still at KPMG before I retired. Some days I feel like I'm still at KPMG. However, we met because he was at Verizon and I had the responsibility for being the KPMG partner that managed the relationship. And I think we hit it off right away. As soon as I met you, I think Ina introduced us.
That's right.
And another KPMG partner, and we hit it off. And when we were talking about having the summit here, I thought, why not have the CIO of one of the largest companies in the United States come talk about what he's doing? And he's going to talk about how he's organizing and reorganizing the IT delivery model, and et cetera, at Verizon. But first, you saw the very end of the session before, which is what we call the check-in, the HITEC check-in.
Okay.
And I think I prepared you.
Yes.
But I'll give you an example.
Okay.
My name is Miriam Hernandez-Kakol. I'm chair of HITEC, retired KPMG partner, and a proud Mexican. Can you follow that example?
I can't use the same words. It'll be good. But yes, I am Vivek Gurumurthy. I am CIO for the consumer and the business groups in Verizon. I have a lot of history in the United States. My lineage is from India, no surprises. And I've been in the US for close to 30 years now. So I am a US citizen, a proud US citizen, but I'm very proud of my Indian heritage as well, and I carry that everywhere I go. Thank you.
That was such a better way of answering it than me. I've been here since I was 9 years old. So I won't say how many years that is. But I am also proud of being an American citizen and growing up here. Also very proud of being Mexican. We have a home in Mexico. You know, I spend a lot of time there.
That's right.
And Spanish is my first language. You did a better job. I think I need to follow your model.
I'm just learning. And, but before we start, it's wonderful to be here. Thank you for the invitation, Miriam. It's great to see this community. I was really looking forward to this and getting to meet a lot of you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for inviting me here.
You're welcome. We're happy to have you. And you said this was an organization that you haven't had a lot of contact with or know about, so you want to know more about it. So this is
Absolutely.
the perfect opportunity. So we'll try to leave some time for questions. I just want you to do a little bit deeper introduction of your career journey, your family, your hobbies. What do you do for fun? Vivek, do you do something for fun? Because I always see you at work.
Well, when you make work fun, there is not much else to do, right?
Okay, see? You cannot ask this guy a hard question. It's not right.
But kidding aside, I have a family. We are a family of 4, my wife and 2 kids. My son is getting ready to go to college. And it's that time of the year and that time of our lives right now. We are going through that whole process.
Isn't it fun?
It is not fun. For anybody who's done that, you know what I'm saying. It is not fun. We were hoping it would be a little bit easier. We tried a few other things, but at the end of the day, it is something that we all have to go through. So he's getting ready for college. My daughter is a sophomore in high school, and my wife is a physician. And it's been 10 years since we moved to New Jersey, and I spent about 15 years before that in Dallas. And yeah, that's right. And before that, I went to grad school in Arizona.
Ooh.
So I've been exposed to a lot of sunny areas all my life. I'm from South India, and grew up in a lot of sun as well there. Grew up for the first 20 years over there, did my undergrad, computer science masters, everything, and then started with GTE, which is one of the former Verizon companies. And been in Verizon for close to, I would say, 25, 26 years now. It's been a long ride, and I did try my hand for a year in the dot-com boom days in California, Bay Area.
Oh, you did? Right out of school?
No, it was before Verizon was formed. So right after a couple of years in GT, I took a chance, but if it worked out, I wouldn't be here today. So I
hear you.
I had to come right back, and it's been a good ride. I can't complain. It's been good fun, and in Verizon. Verizon is a wonderful company to work for. Its culture is something that really keeps people together. I've known people who've been there for like 30, 40 years, and not just been there, but actually grown, learned, built a network, contributed, and had good, satisfying careers. So lucky to be there as well. And for fun, like I said, it's mostly work, but besides work right now, I am for anybody who's got teenage kids, probably, we are the Uber drivers at home. So I do a lot of Ubering back and forth, and but it's fun. And whenever I get a break, I try to get a bike ride. That's about it. So
kids are a full-time hobby.
It is. Yeah. But they keep you together. They keep you focused.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
I agree. So thank you for that. I recently experienced the college application experience myself because I volunteered with my granddaughters.
All right.
To take them to visit colleges.
Excellent.
Mostly I was in it for the trip. Because they were in interesting places like Northern California and Chicago, and it was fun.
It was fun.
Yes.
Yeah,
and one of them is now graduated with her doctorate, and the other one is, well, I introduced her yesterday, but the other one is a high-tech scholar, and she's at Johns Hopkins.
Excellent.
A rising junior.
Congratulations.
So, she's probably going to kill me because she's going to say I keep introducing her, but I'm so proud of her.
Why not? Why not? You get to do that.
So let's talk a little bit about this article I read. I think it's called McKinsey Digest.
Okay.
And you were interviewed, I think, earlier this year. So just to set the tone about what you've been busy at.
But do you read the McKinsey Digest? You're from KPMG. I mean, would you let you do that?
Some of my best friends are at Accenture.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
But I did read it because there was an article about you. I do look at it. It's actually called McKinsey Digital, I think.
Yeah.
And the gentleman who did an interview with you does a lot of different interviews, and I tend to read them because they're good. Mark McCormick, am I saying his name?
Yes, Mark McMillan.
Oh, McMillan, okay. Maybe I should read my notes. That would be good.
He's a wonderful friend of mine, and I've known him for a while, so yeah.
So the interview was about you changing the entire IT operating model.
That's right.
In order to be more focused on your customers and clients and making sure that what they were experiencing with Verizon was similar to their own experience with their own outside of Verizon, so that there would be sort of a flow through of physical and digital activity for them. And I found the article fascinating. Of course, I knew, because you mentioned in this article several of the programs, and of course I was aware of them.
That's right.
But it was fun reading it from a different perspective, not being in the middle of it, just sort of reading it. And I think it'd be great if you shared with this crowd of folks who are interested in that kind of thing, what was your sort of goal and where are you? And we'll get into more of the details later, but at a high level, what were you trying to accomplish? And did it become kind of a passion project for you?
It was, well, let's see where to start this one from.
I gave you lots of ground where you could start from.
That's right, that's right. We'll try to keep it in time. I've been in Verizon, like I said, for close to 25 years. And Verizon as a company has been there for 25 years. And the systems and the supporting architecture solutions that have been in Verizon have been there longer than that. What I mean by that is Verizon has been on the wireline side a collection of companies pre-Bell, post-AT&T breakup, getting back together. And then on the wireless side, it was GTE, AirTouch, and a bunch of other companies coming together. And we built our systems to suit a particular business model that worked for a couple of decades in the wireless industry. You would go to a store, you would buy a device, you would get it activated, you would walk out with something that's working. And that was a story about a couple of decades back. It was good for almost, I would say, 10, 15 years. And then you started getting into this whole digital revolution where customers now want to do everything online. Customers want an app. Customers want to do things in the store. They want to go touch and feel in the store, but they want to buy digital. They want to go do things in the call center. And it almost seemed like our systems and solutions that were built were engineered for a day and age that was not current. That was one part of the problem. The second part of the problem is, in terms of delivery of these solutions internally, our engineering processes were built for an architecture that was working well for 2 decades, but it's not really what the new age digital companies do. And the third part of the problem is the people and the skill sets that we had were not suited for what the new age digital companies as well do. Like I said, most of the people in Verizon have been there for 15, 20, 30 years. They're not straight out of college coming out with the latest and the greatest in technologies. So it was a multi-dimensional problem that we were trying to solve. We were trying to change our customer experience. We were trying to change our frontline employee experience in stores and call centers. We were trying to modernize our systems platform so that we can build them for the next few years that we can support our customers and our business on. And then we were trying to change and upskill our employees as well so that they can be relevant for the new age technologies. And lastly, we were trying to change the ways we were working within Verizon on how we delivered solutions for our business and customers. So it was like a multifold problem that we were trying to solve. And businesses, even in our own environment in Verizon, I would say in the past, when we did such major transformations, we would stop most of what we were doing for a few days and say, okay, let's do this thing for a few months and say, let's transform this. But now you don't have that luxury. You have to change the engine when the plane is flying. And you don't have the luxury of halting the work and taking a break and building new systems and rolling them out and then coming back to BAU, if you will. So we had to build this whole thing while we were delivering, and we had to take the business along for the ride. And all of this, we probably had like 2 to 3 years to do, not more than that. And the last part of the problem, which I'm sure everybody understands, you're always short on money for these things. There is never enough funding, and there is never enough time for doing these kind of programs. So it was an interesting problem to solve. It was very challenging. It was fun. It was a passion project, like you termed it, because very rarely in your career you get an opportunity to do something of this magnitude and impact. And that was what was appealing to me and my team when we started going down this path. And Like you said, McKinsey wrote the article. They were part of this process as well. They helped us think through some of these solutions on how we execute on this. And it was a journey that we did for, I would say, close to 2 to 3 years, I would say. The systems change first had to happen. We had to build the right solutions and transform into a new architecture that would be connecting all of our touch points and build a connected digital and an assisted experience. And that would also modernize our footprint from being a primarily on-prem to a cloud-native organization. So that was one part of the problem. So that had to go first. And once that happened, then we changed our entire ways of working into an agile methodology. We went into the product model, and we had to bring the business on board because remember, it's not just my team who's been there for a couple of decades, it's been the business team also who's been working in the same way for a couple of decades. So it had to be a joint transformation, so we brought them along and we changed the way we work. The terminology started changing from requirements to user stories, from releases to sprints and things like that, all the fun stuff. And we got into the machine of changing the way we deliver for the business. And then we had to put a whole program of upskilling and reskilling of our employees. And trust me when I say this, you can build a system, you can change the way and the process in the company, but to change people and teach them new things takes forever. And that, I would say, was the toughest thing to do in this whole process. And there is no way we could even not do that because a lot of these employees had immense subject matter expertise. They've been in the business for 20 years, 30 years, building up capabilities and knowledge about systems, processes, people, solutions. That was invaluable, and we had to retain that and use that information to transform. But at the same time, we wanted to ensure that they were relevant for the next few years as well, and so we had to upskill and reskill a lot of them on the new technologies. And that was, I would say, the biggest mission in this whole process. And you can do the transformation and bring in a whole new team, but that's not who we are. We have a culture that keeps the people and brings them along for the journey, transforms them. And in the long run, that is the right investment because they are the principal asset of the organization, and they keep the business moving forward. So doing that transformation was the hardest in my opinion. We had to build technology portals, training programs, move organizations, and pretty much in one day, I had to bring in new managers for almost 3,000 employees across the globe, and doing that whole change on one day. It was a process for a couple of years. We were working towards it, building programs and pilots and testing things out. But on the day we did the cutover, it was a big change.
And this people side of it, I remember doing a few years back the PeopleSoft implementation on the wireless side.
That's right.
And I remember that, and this is true not just of Verizon, at other companies I've experienced it, that it is that people change part that always gets you.
Yes.
And I think that leaders today in technology, at least what I've experienced more recently, is are more enlightened about the fact that you need help to do that.
Right.
That you can't do that on your own. Because, however, there's still the challenge of how do you line up with a business so that you go through this kind of cultural change together.
Yes.
And then what is the governance of that? Like, who gets to call the shots? Do you have thoughts on that? To me, that's also a very tough problem to solve.
That's right, because the business could easily say, it's your problem, go deal with it. But at the end of the day, I was fortunate enough for the business leadership also to understand that transforming the technology platforms is only going to enable transformation of the company itself. And they bought into this, and they had a good model where the business leaders were good stakeholders and partners working with me and my team in understanding what the new model should be and designing it for continuous delivery, if you will. So people part of it on my end, but then they took the ownership of changing the people's skills and the ways of working on their end as well.
Ways of working, yeah, that's a critical one.
We have to do that, and it doesn't work if it doesn't come from the top. You can start the transformation in the bottom, but at some point, once it catches scale and momentum, you need everybody to buy in and transform the way we work at a whole corporate level. Otherwise, you're going to do small changes, and it won't really catch the benefit that you really wanted to have.
And where do you think you are now on that journey around that program, around that transformation? Because you're about to have another whole transformation, which we'll talk about in a minute.
There you go.
But where are you on that journey?
I think we have landed the plane on that one, because we are now, I can comfortably say that we can match up to any of the digital natives in terms of how we work. We have strong technologies that can sustain for the future. We have improved the quality of delivery. We have reduced speed to market. We have created good experiences, and I can comfortably say that the transformation that I wanted to see in 4 years, we are at the other end of it. Now, to your question, transformation never ends in technology. So
especially today.
Exactly, right?
The velocity of it is incredible. Right?
Exactly, right? So you finish one, you are always transforming into the next one. Like the famous quotes, the new beginning is the end of an old era. So that's how it works.
When I was telling someone this earlier today, when I was at the master's program at Carnegie Mellon many years ago, it was during the introduction of, not really the introduction, but when email, corporate email was becoming, I'm giving away my age now, okay? But it's okay, where corporate email was becoming the way to communicate.
Right.
And it was very difficult. People didn't know how to use it. People didn't understand each other. There was a lot of policies put in place. And I remember having a professor, I remember her clearly because she had a huge mastiff that used to lay by her desk. And every time you would go in to get, some kind of conversation going, that dog was right there. It was huge. But anyway, one of the things she said is, oh, you think this is change? You've seen nothing yet. She said 10 years from now, this will be nothing.
That's right.
And aren't we this was longer than 10 years ago, but this whole AI culture, you've talked about the fact that you're not going to be a traditional telco. You're going to be an AI-led telco.
That's right.
And I read somewhere that you have like 40,000, did I read this correctly? Customer service reps that have AI tools at their fingertips?
You read that right.
40,000, you guys grasp that, 40,000. They're in a contact center?
Contact center and stores.
And stores that are AI enabled.
Absolutely. So, that's a very interesting story because I would say about 5 years back, we did not know in the telco industry how to have a continuous conversation which is truly AI enabled and allow our reps to support our customers via chat. Mm-hmm. And we partnered with some of the key leaders in the industry. And you can do a chat or you can do a voice. But combining voice and chat and creating a seamless experience was one of its kind. And the reason I bring that into the conversation here is because that is the beginning of the AI journey, in my opinion. Once you start going down that path, it puts you in a solid footing where now you can do things on the desktop. You can listen to the customer conversation and change the way the experience is for the rep on the desktop using Copilot capabilities. You can help the rep with a lot of information on their fingertips and take out cognitive load, because with AI and generative AI, you can digest a lot of information and make it simple for them. So the whole AI journey that we have been going down has created immense benefits for our call center reps. And You can go down AI and say that it is more personal. The experience is more relevant and contextual because now we have data and we built, like again, before you build any data, any good AI infrastructure, the first thing is good data. So you get data, and then now you have the insights, and then you take the action based on the insights. So we built a good pipeline. We focused on creating the right infrastructure, and then we put the actions together by combining the ecosystem elements. So now what happens is when you call Verizon, the customer service rep, on the other hand, has a lot of contextual information already at their fingertips on why you're calling, what was your last interaction, what are you potentially calling about, and a lot of information pre-fetched and pre-processed, if you will, so that they don't have to spend a lot of time researching and understanding your situation or putting a lot of cognitive effort in troubleshooting where you came from and what your current problem is. So this really has been great for new reps who are coming on board. Because in today's global model, bringing in people who are new off the field, off the streets, and getting them to be familiar with your business and being able to support it within a few days is not easy. And the AI tools have really helped us get new reps up to speed in a couple of days.
Yeah, and must be for the new reps coming in a much more satisfying way.
Absolutely.
To get ingrained in the job, because now you're not reading handbooks. By the way, I was a customer service rep as an intern job way back in the day.
That is.
And I hated that job. I didn't have AI tools to help me. I had to read all these manuals, and then I had the manuals like this on the desk.
The books, the big books. Yeah.
And I said to myself, I got to work really hard to get a better job than this. Anyway, so what about this whole AI? So you're using it to transform the customer service. By the way, is it helping your hold times for the reps?
Absolutely.
Because that's what I hear people complain a lot about, not just Verizon, but all telcos, how hard it is to get into a live person. So chat should help with that. And I'm assuming that, I don't call, so I don't know, but I'm assuming.
I'm glad you don't call.
No, I just go to the store.
Yeah.
You know I'd be kind of asking too many questions, don't you? But it's helping your hold time.
Absolutely. It's helping hold time. It's helping handling time. Because when you're on the phone, the goal for the rep is to ensure that you are productive with your time and we are respectful of your time, because no customer wants to get up in the morning and say, I don't have much to do, let me call Verizon. That's not their favorite pastime. I'm pretty sure. So when they call, the goal for us to ensure we service their need in the quickest way, but to their satisfaction. And in order to do that, the average hold time is important, but the average handling time is also as important for us. So that we are seeing a big benefit in that. And it's not like we are just dumping the call and moving on to the next one, but then doing it right, ensuring that the customer is satisfied with the service, and it goes a long way. So the goal for us is to ensure we become the best applied AI company when it comes to delivery of service and experience. And when I say the statement, it includes your experience on digital, your experience on the call, your experience in the store, or your experience via chat or any medium you choose to talk to or interact with us. And we are on a, I can certainly say that at least within the telco industry, we pioneered some new ways of doing things. And we've created new partnerships and new solutions, working back with some of the leaders in the industry. And that has really put us in a good place now to capitalize on the next wave of innovation, which is, introduce the new term, agentic AI. So it's put us in a good spot now to catch on that and move forward.
Can you repeat that again so everyone can hear it?
Oh, really?
The agent?
Agentic AI. So we started from traditional models, which are providing insights. Then we went into prescriptive, Then we went into predictive, and then we are now into generative. What is coming ahead of us is agentic. And when you think about this, you cannot start from zero and say, that I want to leapfrog into agentic. You could, but you need the entire plumbing to happen in the back end for your agentic AI infrastructure to be really delivering the capabilities and the impact you want. And in order for all of that to happen, your data and your experience delivery system should all be connected with the back office processes as well. So once you have that infrastructure built, then building the agentic solutions on top of it becomes the next logical step. And we have done a good transformation with the first part of the story that I gave on how we transformed our systems and modernized the systems. Then we built a lot of AI capabilities on that. Now we have delivered it to a lot of our service reps in the stores and call centers. Now the next step is to take that to agentic AI. And this agentic AI is going to disrupt not just the way we work with our customers, but it's also going to disrupt our internal engineering ways as well. And that is going to be huge. Again, it's going to come back to the earlier point that we talked about, which is changing the way our people think about their skills, people transformation. And it's going to be part two of the story again, coming back to how we have to work back with our own employees in our engineering organization, teach them new skills on how English is the most preferred programming language apparently nowadays. So we have to figure out how that skill will work and grow from there. So next wave of transformation is right around the corner.
And developing on AI tools?
That's right. Development using AI tools, writing stories using AI tools, delivering capabilities using AI tools. So it's a whole new solution that we have to work down.
So kids who are going into college and want to study computer science, what would you say to them?
My son didn't want to do that.
Well, I'm thinking about this world that's not so far off where we're going to have part of the generation of workers, and I know we're going to hear this in the next session with Marcelo and Sandy Torsha, but this whole idea of a generation that's all AI work. They're AI generated, you know, whether it's developing code or agents, not live humans, but they're live AI agents.
Yeah, all kidding aside, look, it's going to be relevant still. In my opinion, computer science is still going to be super critical. Because if at all anything, the innovation to everything that we do in this world is built upon software going forward. Hardware, technologies working back together with software. The whole AI revolution came into being mainly because it was a perfect storm of data and the hardware infrastructure in terms of compute and storage, and then the software capabilities in terms of algorithms all coming together. So if at all anything, this is just going to accelerate further. And young kids who want to do interesting stuff, I would say computer science and programming is going to be super important. How you apply it might be different. Where you apply it might be different, but you're going to have, the way I see it is even ECG readers, radio, all your X-ray readers, everybody is going to end up doing programming of some sort.
Yeah. And do you need different kind of leaders for that team that's a mix of humans and machines?
Oh yeah, now you touched upon the next one, right?
Yeah.
That's right. So when we talk about agentic AI, you're going to have agents and humans working together. You're going to be having humans managing agents and agents doing a lot of work side by side with humans. So it's going to be a mixed way of thinking of organizations. And frankly, I would say this, I don't think anybody's cracked the code on that. It's going to be an evolving learning situation, in my opinion, but I don't think it's going to be avoided. It is coming for sure. So the faster we can think about how we can transform the way the organizations are built, how people think about their careers, and how people think about, to put this into context, 50 years back, the biggest programming language was IBM punch cards, right? They would take the punch cards into the room, punch the program, COBOL program on it, and feed it into the machine for it to execute. That was the biggest skill there. Now we don't do punch cards anymore, but that doesn't mean computer science has gone away.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same story going forward. You're going to have the next generation of solutions coming up, but the organization is going to be a different mix. Just like in those days, you had different skills. Now you have Scrum Masters and programmers and developers. You're going to have a newer skill. Frankly, I don't think we've invented the names and titles yet, but it's going to come.
Are you looking forward to that?
As a challenge, yes.
Or will you be riding your bike through the countryside by then? I'm not asking for an announcement. I was just.
I would say I dream of that, riding the bike in the countryside, but I don't think I'm there yet.
Yeah, I don't think you are either.
Yeah, I still have ways to go.
I thought we'd pause for a minute. I still have more questions.
Sure.
But I thought we'd pause for a minute and get some audience questions.
Love to.
For anyone, there's mics on either side if somebody wants to ask a question. If there are no questions, then I have a few I want to continue to ask. It looks like there's someone standing there, correct?
Yep, there is. Hi.
The lights are right in our eyes.
That's
so.
okay. First, I wanted to say thank you for the data breach investigations report.
Okay.
As long as I've been working in intelligence, and even when I was at the NYPD, that was the gold standard for over a decade. So
Wow.
kudos to Verizon. That's really wonderful.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask kind of a semi-personal question. So, there is this tremendous transformation that's occurring with AI. And we talk a lot about growth and optimization, but we don't talk about why we're growing and why we're optimizing. And we talk about transformation, but we don't talk about who we're transforming into. And I don't just mean as business leaders, but as human beings. And one of the things I feel with all of this pressure that's coming, there was just the announcement from Anthropic this morning. I think Amadeus, the CEO, he said that something like 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs will be eliminated in the next 5 years. And that tremendous pressure that I feel to upskill, to run faster, to do more. And I look at emerging up the ladder to the C-suite, to CIO-dom, and I can't imagine what that pressure feels like for you. And I was so moved to hear about you talking about your families and the college process. And I'm so curious about where you build those firewalls around your life outside of work and how you balance that relentless pressure for optimization and growth with showing up in life and not missing that critical stuff. And thanks so much for answering in advance.
Sure. No, I appreciate the question. Thank you. Look, at the end of the day, we have to separate work from personal, but they're all very interlinked. And the critical factor, in my opinion, at least personally for me, is to find the right balance. And a lot of people have termed this or coined this term work-life balance, but I think it's more like work-life coexistence. And we carry our phones home. In those days, you would leave work at office and go back home, and you wouldn't carry the files, but now the device is with you everywhere. So I don't think you ever stop working anymore. So in that frame, if you think about it, the pressure is going to exist. The pressure was always there. It's just a different form. And going forward, to your question, how are we transforming and what are we transforming into? I don't know what is going to be the pressure 5 years from now, but there is always going to be pressure to perform revenue and other margin goals that the market will demand. Pressure to perform and be the best in the industry, that's going to be there. And do it at the right cost, that's going to be there too. So at the end of the day, as humans, I think we have to be empathetic and ensure we show the right path to our employees, and everybody will understand. So we have to discover the way we go forward, but we cannot lose sight of how we do it, and we have to do it together empathetically.
If a mutual friend of ours was in the audience, her name is Judy Spitz. She's not, but if she were here, she would say that the human element of AI and all that that brings, the acceleration of technology, et cetera, really needs to be measured against who's sitting at the table making the decisions,
Right.
and how those decisions are being made. She would say that if you don't have the right people at the table, meaning all kinds of people with all kinds of experience and with all kinds of points of view, that the output of all of this technology is not going to be as good.
Correct.
That's what she would say. I know that because I've heard her say it, and you have many times, even back in the day of when 5G was being introduced, she used to say that at Verizon.
Right. That's right. She was my mentor. Yes.
Yes. So I'm going to, did you have a question?
Can I?
Oh, please. I just turned and saw you.
Hi.
I think she's been waiting too.
Oh, sorry about that. We'll go here and then we'll come back, and then I have a couple questions I want to ask Vivek.
Thank you. My name is Nimit. I'm with Pyramid Consulting. And question on similar lines to what you guys were talking about. Vivek, your guidance for people in the audience today around skills of the future, right? So we are on this major transformation journey. Obviously, we know that the teams of 3 years out, 5 years out will look very different. What will that look like? I know there are no titles or names yet, but what are the skills needed for the future? And if you can share what Verizon is doing or what organizations should be doing today to develop those skills and those teams of the future.
Thank you. Good to see you here, Nimit, again. And look, from a company-wide, if you think about it, technology is one part of the organization in Verizon. You have network, you have finance, you have corporate HR. So all those skills still are going to exist. They're not going to vanish. But it's just how you apply those skills in a day job when you have to think about the tools that are at your disposal and how you use the tools. Like, for example, Gemini is everywhere. Instead of reading 5 long emails with 20 trails behind them, all you need to do is summarize in Gemini, and it gives you an output. It saves enormous time and gives me productivity time back. So how you learn to use these tools to become more productive is going to be a super critical way of adapting to new ways of working, in my opinion. You can't just think about the old ways of how she says, email was being introduced. Now you're going to go to the next generation of productivity tools and adopt to them. And I think those skills will always be there. Network is still going to be designed. You still need airwaves and spectrum, but how you build an autonomous network, that is going to be the skill set that's going to come into play. So those are the ways I think we all have to think about in the new world.
Thank
Thank you.
Young lady at this side.
Not so young, but I'll take it.
Take it, take it.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Praveena. I'm a solutions architect at Citi. I'm an SVP, obviously not a different kind of SVP, not like that. But so here, when we try to come up with solutions to enterprise-wide pain points, right, we are in a transformative phase. Also, we primarily financial institutions, they are much more aware of risk. Risk management is like the backbone. Every day, the code of conduct or what I do, the solutions I come up with, I have to be completely aware of what the governance is saying, what the regulatory laws are, how changing geopolitical landscape regulates our new laws, how the climate data is impacting credit risk management decisions, and various thoughts, right? Apart from that, how workforce-related people-related rules are coming up in EU, for example, do not profile some people or so and so. So I'm very interested to learn from various other lines of businesses like Verizon. Even before lunch, I wanted to learn from McDonald's and HR company, tax company. How do you cope up with the laws? Do you have equally stringent laws, governance laws for AI when it comes to people? How do you profile your clients? How do you use your data? And how do you come up with the solutions that will accommodate and respect these governance laws, and then also offer a technology for yourselves and your business, your clients, and your response is going to kind of influence me whether I should dodge that Verizon person tomorrow in Costco or.
No, you won't find Verizon all the Costcos, by the way, just saying. So first off, we are heavily regulated. We come from a regulatory background. For those who know wireline industry, we are heavily regulated that way. And then the next part of it is when you think about data and what we do with data and the privacy laws around it, enormous responsibility on that. We have to comply with a lot of state laws. There are no federal laws, by the way, on privacy. Every state has its own view of what the law should be. California being the most stringent, we've already gone through 2 generations of California privacy laws. Massachusetts has its own, Virginia has its own. So we have built a complete framework for every state laws to be implemented. We have a rigorous process of ensuring that any algorithms and inferences coming out of the algorithms are vetted through by a governing body. We have a whole AI council that determines the impact and the lineage of all the decisions AI is making. So very strong governance, and trust me, it's like if there is one meeting I have to set up on data, I need to invite 5 lawyers first before I bring anyone else into the meeting. So it is a very, very strong discipline, and to the extent that sometimes I feel we are not leveraging data well enough, because we have to work with our hands tied behind our back sometimes, but that is the right thing to do as well. And that's what we try to do every time when we have customers' data at our disposal. Be responsible stewards and custodians of customer data.
So I see you, but I'm going to ask you to hold a minute, because I really want to ask Vivek this question.
Sure.
HITEC is a lot about elevating technical talent, developing technical leadership, having a shared set of values around leadership and around our training. How do you train your successors? I mean, just given the complexity and the velocity of technical change, what is it you're trying to instill in the folks who are going to do your job someday?
At least in Verizon, the way we measure leaders is how many leaders you create. And the biggest job that I have, besides doing the work for the business delivery when it comes to my team, is to constantly ensure there is a pipeline of succession candidates. And we spend a good amount of time identifying, grooming, and putting people in roles and responsibilities that will enable them to grow their skills. Number one. Number two, we are always willing to take risks on people who are willing to take risks on themselves. So if you are willing to take a risk, we are ready there as long as we see the potential and we see the ability for you to grow. And then we are always, I'm a firm believer that you learn by doing the work and by doing the job, and you earn the job after you do the job. So we put people in responsibilities or roles that we think they should be doing tomorrow, today, and give them the challenge. And look, if they step up, more power to them.
I love that. I've always believed that you give people the opportunity. It's up to them to make it or break it.
Yeah.
And it's up to them to take it or not take it. But to keep people from having the opportunity, I don't think you create enough leaders. I'm with you. I like that.
There is you can't bottle it up. It'll come out at some point. So you're better off growing it right there.
What makes you a good leader?
Just what I said.
Okay. I gotcha.
Well,
I was thinking you might tell me 1 or 2 styles or characteristics that you have.
I will.
I know you're a very humble man, but.
Thank you. Look, exactly that. For me, the way I work is we believe in leadership in action. So rolling up the sleeves, being with the teams and working and understanding what they go through will always give a lens that you can use better to influence change and influence motivation and commitment in our team. So the biggest rule that I have is before I ask the teams to do anything, I need to know if I will be willing to do it myself and how do I go about doing it. So being with the teams, being with the details and learning how to do it. Thank you.
You got the second applause of your day.
Of the day. My day is made. Now I need to go home.
Thank you. I'm going to let you ask your question, and then I have one closing question for Vivek. So don't have this flashing up here telling me to get off the stage. Okay, it's all you.
I'll be quick. Javier Hernandez, Microsoft. Continuing on a concept that Miriam put forth, when you led transformation at Verizon, what kind of talents did you look for when putting together your transformation committee, right? What people did you seek out to help you enact that change?
We needed people who are willing to learn, number one. Learning is the biggest skill that we need. Number two, those who are willing to see the vision of what the end game will be like. And three, those who have the confidence of the business leadership in influencing change. Once you have these three critical elements, then we put people to learn the newer technologies and then be the catalyst for the change. But in order to lead the change, you have to be with a growth mindset. And the most important thing is, do you have the growth mindset, and do you have the trust of the leadership that you can deliver on the growth?
Great. Okay, here's my last question for you.
Sure.
So with all this, we've been talking, and I keep mentioning, right, the velocity and the complexity of change in technology. Moore's Law, really.
Yeah.
I learned way back at Bell Labs. I learned that.
Exponential growth.
Yes. Should technology organizations lead the business, or should the business lead the technology organizations? Whoa.
That's a political landmine now. But I think the business teams are coming to the realization that their growth in the business and the growth of the business itself is married very tightly to technology, number one. Number two, they are looking for technology help. So if technology raises its hand and is willing to help, they're happy to take it. If not, they'll find it elsewhere. So the faster we raise the hand and lead it, they're willing to be co-leaders. So I would say you have to own this, take the initiative, and be co-leaders in running the business.
Co-leaders, cooperation, collaboration.
Co-elevation.
Yes.
Yes.
That's all great. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Vivek, for spending time
Appreciate
with
it.
us.
It was wonderful.
I hope I wasn't too tough on you.
I hope the same.
You're always ready.